Folks, good morning. Greetings and salutations from Steve the Drummer at YouTube.com, where we're bringing yesterday's music into tomorrow. It's been a minute since I've done one of these videos, and I figured it was kind of time to do a little bit of a channel update. So here goes. You may or may not know, depending on how many of my videos you've watched, probably about a year and a half ago or so, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so the type of cancer I had was squamous cell carcinoma, which is a type of skin cancer. However, it was internally. It was in my throat and in my neck. And so, short story long here. Basically, last year I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was treated for cancer both with radiation therapy and with chemotherapy. And so far, we've had a good outcome. I was determined to be in remission in October of last year, and so we're coming up on we're definitely more than a year out of treatment, and almost a year since the scan that was used to determine that I was actually in remission. Now, this is a bit of a journey because really and truly it technically takes about 10 years to say that you've beaten cancer. But right now we're going to take any bit of good news that we can get, and to be fair and to be honest, my prognosis is very good. The type of cancer that I had, as long as it's caught early, is typically very treatable. It's only if it's left untreated for a long period of time that things tend to get really less than good. But so hopefully we were able to catch it in time, and the prognosis remains good. So that's the first little update. The first little tidbit is, like I said, last year I was diagnosed with cancer. It was a tough year. I'm not going to lie. And for those out there who have gone through it, they know that radiation treatment and chemotherapy are very challenging physically, very challenging mentally and emotionally. And we were able to, at least at this point, successfully navigate all that. And things are looking up. The next thing you might have noticed with my channel here lately is, well, number one, I didn't post anything for a long time. And number two, most of my recent posts have been more centered around tennis than music. And so what I would like to say to that is, I know it's kind of a YouTube cardinal sin to mix topics. And, basically you're supposed to take a topic and stay on topic. And what I have geared my YouTube channel around for the years that I've done this has been drums and drum covers and drum equipment and all, but nonetheless drums. And I've kind of taken a sharp turn here by incorporating tennis into that. So I kind of wanted to take a second out and explain that a little bit. So first and foremost, coming out of cancer, it has forced me to maybe re-examine my life a little bit. And so I guess, for lack of a better word, the best way I could put it is, for the longest time, I just did not want to sit in this room and play the drums. I wanted to go outside and do things outdoors, and basically try to experience life and live life. And so that's kind of what has driven the shift. And so when I look at my life as a whole, and once again, I'm not sure how many of my videos you guys have watched before, but when I look at my life as a whole, everybody knows that I got started playing the drums in the 1980s, and my big thing was hair metal. And my first concert was a Kiss concert. And during the 80s, I went and saw all these hair metal bands. And so that was my first exposure to music. Prior to that, I played tennis. As a kid, I was kind of a late bloomer and a slow developer. I was very small, and so I was not physically size appropriate for either football or basketball. And for some reason, I never really got very interested in baseball. And so I had a friend that played tennis, and one day we went out and just started playing tennis, and my life kind of grew from that. And so when I look at life, my influences range from Bjorn Borg to Tommy Lee. So I mean, that's quite the eclectic mix there, I know. So anyhow, I played a lot of tennis between probably 1980-ish, and I played until about 1987, though around 1984, 85 is when I got my driver's license. And when you get your driver's license, kind of everything goes out the window and life changes. And so that was kind of when I started segueing out of tennis. And then when I graduated from high school in 1987, I stopped playing altogether. So I have recently started playing again, and by recently I mean Thanksgiving of 2023. I started playing tennis again, and it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I've really kind of dove into this head first. I've been participating in local tennis ladders and leagues and organizations, and going to clinics and just playing all kinds of tennis, and that has led to me playing tennis tournaments again, which is something that I did as a junior, as a kid. I played in the 12s and the 14s and the 16s and the 18s as a kid, and so I have started playing in tennis tournaments once again. And so, maybe for lack of a better word, just to kind of put something out there, I've put some tennis videos on my channel of me playing some various matches, and I continue to film different tennis matches, and I'm going to continue to throw up an occasional tennis match, because that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. With that being said, though, I've started recording drum covers again, so let's talk about that for a minute. So, kind of reflecting on my life as a whole, once again, in my drum covers, I've covered a lot of stuff. I've covered country and rock, and maybe even a little bit of jazz, and the time periods have been from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and a little bit of 2000 stuff, and that really kind of encompasses all of my musical taste. But I've got to say that at the end of the day, I really am a product of the 1980s. I was a kid in the 70s, I was a teenager in the 80s, and I was a 20-something in the 90s. And so those 3 decades are probably the most influential on me musically, but that being said, I was a teenager in the 80s, so I think about 80s music first and foremost. And if you really look at my channel as a whole, I've probably done more 80s covers than any other time period. With all that in mind, like I said earlier, hair metal was all the rage for me. That's what I used to listen to as a kid, and that was what got me interested in the drums and music and what have you. I was recently reading a tennis book, and it was talking about selecting music or something to listen to, or to kind of create an ambiance to kind of get yourself into a tennis mindset, a tennis framework before you actually walk out on the court. And so in doing that, what I have ironically discovered is subconsciously, that's kind of a weird thought, but nonetheless, subconsciously, I think I identify that 80s hair metal with playing tennis. And so I'm back at it. I'm playing the drums again, and I'm doing some music. And the first thing on my list is to knock out some 80s hair metal, and I'm sure over time it's going to morph into other things, as it has in the past. But right now, I guess too, I said I wanted to be outdoors more, and I didn't want to sit in this room and play the drums for a while. I guess a better way, or another way to put that is, for lack of a better word, I just wasn't all that musically inspired. I didn't. I even went through a period of time where I didn't even really listen to music in the car. I would listen to podcasts, or I would listen to other things. And so as I am kind of gravitating back towards listening to music while I'm driving and listening to music at different times in the day, what's on my turntable, proverbially speaking, obviously most of us really don't have a turntable anymore, but it's a lot of 80s hair metal, and it's what I think about that kind of puts me in the right frame of mind for playing tennis. And so it's kind of what I want to maybe try to play right now in the old drum room here. And so additionally, maybe some of the songs that I'm going to choose certainly weren't the single off the album, and maybe not the first song you would think of when you think of the particular artist, if you've ever even heard of the artist, but that's another story altogether. So anyhow, I'm back at it. I'm playing some drums again, and I'm recording some covers, and I'm going to be posting some covers periodically here. And at least for the near term, expect some 80s hair metal. For those of you that have kind of followed my story and followed the cancer journey and all, a lot of people have reached out and expressed thoughts of of caring and prayers and warm sentiments. And I would just want to take a second out to say I genuinely appreciate that. It really means more to me than I could ever express in words. When I was getting ready to start treatment, I had been diagnosed and they were creating a treatment plan. One of the things that one of the doctors said that kind of stuck with me is for you to have a successful outcome, you have to have what he called the 3 F's. And so the 3 F's are basically, in his words, friends, family, and faith. And so, not the first one that I said there, but looking at the whole faith thing, and that can certainly take a religious connotation, and for me it does, but that may not be the case for everybody. But I feel like you have to have faith in something, whether it's in religion or the process or whatever. I think this maybe, and this is I could probably do another video on this, but I think in a lot of ways the world is kind of lacking in faith, and that faith could be in a lot of different things. It doesn't just have to have a religious connotation. So, but like I said, to his credit or to his point, one of the things you need is faith. Another thing that you need is family, and I certainly have had a lot of support and caring from my family, and in particular my wife.
Woo! Yeah!
And I want to extend a warm thank you to everyone. And then lastly, friends, and I would consider all of you to be friends, and I long-winded way of going around and saying this, but I just want to genuinely say I appreciate all your support over the years, and I appreciate the camaraderie and the friendships that have been built. Hope everybody has a great day, and let's play some drums.